Hey everybody, this is Mr. Flamingo. Sorry I'm not with you guys today. I wish I was there. Attending basically a class, but I'd rather be teaching you guys. But doesn't mean we can't learn. I know we tried to do this yesterday and went all crazy with sync space, so we'll try it a different way. So on your notes, we're going to talk about how you find limits on a graph. And a lot of this stuff we're going to go pretty quickly because this should be a review from last year. So first of all, notation. If you see the limit as x goes to some number and you see the little minus sign, that means the limit of the function as x approaches that number from the left. If you see a little plus sign, that means the limit of f of x as x approaches that number from the right. So we're talking about essentially, left and right, minus being the left and plus being the right. That means the overall limit as x goes to a certain number is the limit as x approaches that number, as x approaches c. And we're talking about, we're looking for a limit to match from the left and the right. So another way to think about it is that if it approaches a number on the left and approaches the same number on the right, then the general limit or the overall limit is that number. So we're going to see some examples. We have a graph here. Remember, we're doing things graphically. And the first one says as x goes to infinity. So here's remember, this is my x-axis. So this is like x equals 1, x equals 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys understand that, right? 6, 7, 8, and if I want to know as x goes to infinity, you'd agree that it's all the way out here. So the question is, what is f of x or what is the y value? So you see how this arrow is going down? So it's going on forever. So as x goes to infinity, as I'm all the way out here, do you see how my y value is going to be close to negative infinity? So on your notes, write down for me negative infinity. Right? Now, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Now the question says, what about 5 minus, 5 plus, and 5 in general? So again, remember when we're talking about limits graphically, we need to figure out what is the limit from the left to the right, and if they match. So let's look for, actually this is negative 5. Sorry, it's hard to see on here, but on your papers it should say negative 5. So look at my graph. Can you identify where x equals negative 5? X equals negative 5 right here. Right here. So what is the y value? Well, you might notice that there are actually two y values or two places where the graph is approaching when x equals negative 5. The y value here and the y value here. Coming from the left, as I approach x equals negative 5 from the left, do you see this y value? It's approaching 1. Yeah? So as I go through here, as x equals negative 5, here the y value is positive 1. So let me scroll down and write here, positive 1. I don't know what my pen is doing, but this should be 1. There. Okay. From the right, you may notice that when it goes to 5, my y value is becoming negative 2. So if I could write this down here, negative 2. Now, from the left is 1, and the right is negative 2. Do you see how these don't match? So the limit does not exist. So I'm going to write, for does not exist, I'm going to write D and E. Very sloppily. D and E. Okay. Now let's do the same thing with 0. When x is approaching 0 from the left, right, and the general limit at 0. So here's where x equals 0. And you may notice there's only one y value, or one y value that's approaching at x equals 0. From the left, it approaches the same point as it approaches from the right. That y value is 1, 2, 3, 4. So when x equals 0, the y value from the left and the right is 4. So I will write 4 on both from the left and on the right. Now, they both match, so the general limit, without a minus sign or a plus sign, is 4. Now, when x equals 2, or when x approaches 2, you may see this dot here, but you see since there's no lines tailing it, it's not approaching 2 from anywhere. So I'm going to disregard this, okay? The only times where it's approaching is you see these lines going towards x equals, or x approaching 2, or x equals 2. There's only one y value again, even though there's a hole here. It's approaching the y value of 0 from the left, and it's approaching the y value of 0 from the right. So same thing, 2 minus will be 0, 2 plus will be 0, and 2, since they both match, is also 0. Last one, 5 minus, 5 plus, and 5 in general. here is 5 right here, where x equals 5. And you may notice there's no, there's no dots on 5, but there are arrows. From the left of 5, as I go towards x equals 5 from the left, do you see this arrow going all the way up? Yeah? So this y value, as I get closer and closer to x equals 5, this y value is getting closer and closer to positive infinity. From the right, it's a different arrow. This arrow is going down towards x equals negative infinity. This arrow is going all the way down. So from the left, if I could scroll down, from the left of 5, it's going towards positive infinity. I know it's a weird drawing. From the right, it's going towards negative infinity. This is positive infinity, this is negative infinity, so you should know that the general limit at 5 does not exist. I made a mistake. The first one, this is actually negative infinity, and this is actually positive infinity, so let's just pretend this is x goes to negative infinity. So as x goes to negative infinity, remember positive infinity was all the way out here. Negative infinity is going to be all the way out here. So what is my y value when I'm all the way out here? You may notice that there's an arrow and it's getting closer and closer to this dotted line. So do you see this dotted line? So the y value, as I'm all the way out here, it's just going to go towards this dotted line. And that dotted line is at y equals 3. So again, sorry I made a mistake, but as x goes towards negative infinity, the limit of f of x is 3. So hopefully you guys understand how to find limits graphically. What I'll do, you'll find in your Dropbox a set of sample questions. If you could put it on a sheet of paper, and then you'll turn it in at the end of class. So hopefully you guys understand finding limits graphically. And yeah, hope I see you guys on Monday. Have a good and safe weekend, and happy Friday. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care.